Good morning, everyone, from, well, I would say sunny Miami, but it's not so sunny this morning. It's a little overcast here in Miami, but it's still a beautiful day. I've been here all weekend for a fantastic book fair, the Miami Book Fair that's at the Miami-Dade College. I got to see some of the folks. I got to see some lemon heads this weekend. So hello, all of you. Where are you streaming from this morning? Where are you streaming from this morning? Let's see. I had some folks from Florida. Folks from Georgia are in the house, Los Angeles, Canada, all over. So listen, I'm going to get to it quick because we have a lot to discuss here. And it's a little bit, I believe, it's a bit of a concern. And I know folks are going to say, well, Don, he's got some folks in his cabinet, he's got some women. All of the people who are in the main positions, the most upfront, out front, I believe, powerful positions in this upcoming administration, or who will be, are all men. All men, all boys club, and pretty much all white men, okay? I want you guys to, this is what I want to tell you. I want to ask you a question. And I think I've kind of answered it, most of the members of the Trump team, what do they have in common? Is it their political beliefs? Maybe a little bit, not really. It's not their anything ideological whatsoever. Think about it. So you have between, let's see, Donald Trump himself, Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, and RFK Jr., also Elon Musk. All of them have either repeatedly cheated on their spouses or have been accused of SA. And we know what that means, right? It will be the first SEX pest presidency. That's what it will be, the first. Let me just show you what this administration looks like. The people who really make a difference. This is them. Now, remember, RFK Jr. is supposed to be the person who is saving us health-wise, right? Check them out. I believe they're on the plane. They're on Donald Trump's plane. Could be Elon Musk's plane, but it's probably Donald Trump's plane. And it looks like they have just served RFK Jr. the poison that he says that he hates. Looks like he's got a Big Mac in his hand. Or maybe it's who knows, quarter pounder and some fries. But look from left to right. You have Elon Musk, you have Donald Trump, you have Don Jr., you got Mike Johnson, the House Speaker in the back, and then you've got RFK Jr. Very healthy photograph. Look, I eat McDonald's, but I'm not the one who's saying, all this stuff is bad and this is going to be your health czar or whomever, the head of HHS. So what do y'all think about that? But these are the folks who are in the powerful positions. Also, check out this weekend at the fight, the MMA fight. Is it MMA or UFC? So it's UFC. There is RFK, and then behind him, I don't know if you see, it's a profile of Elon Musk. And then there is Donald Trump, of course, in the middle, and then Dana White, who is the head of it. There you go. It is a good old boys club that we're dealing with. We're going to be dealing with. A good old boys club, and then they're going to have the women, make the women accountable, or will have to answer for what they say and what they do. The press secretary, who will be a woman, she's going to have to answer for whatever happens to this administration, whatever they decide to do, and all the questionable things, which will come. We know they will come. So we're not saying anything that you folks don't know. They will put the women in charge of cleaning up the mess. That's what is going to happen. So let's talk about some of the picks, because a lot of folks have been wondering about, of course, Pete Hegseth, who has been nominated to be the defense secretary. He's a Fox News anchor. And then also Matt Gaetz, who has been nominated to be the attorney general. He has now resigned from Congress. And so folks are wondering, well, what is going to happen? Because there's an investigation going on against Matt Gaetz that they may release or may not, since he has left the Congress. There are folks who want to see it, folks in the Senate who say, hey, look, we want to see these things. We want to know what's going on with this investigation. And then Mike Johnson is saying, well, you can't really do that because he's not a sitting member of Congress anymore. The man has resigned. And he has been speaking about that on the morning shows. So he has been saying out there saying, look, I don't think that we should be releasing this stuff. Now, Mike Johnson also, from Matt Gaetz to Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth also had an investigation come out this weekend that a woman had accused him of SA as well, that he paid her off and said reportedly, he paid her off and said that he did so because if the allegation had come out, it would have ended his career at Fox News. He has denied it. The Trump transition team had a meeting today to discuss SA allegations against Secretary of Defense nominee Pete Hegseth. This was yesterday, so they met this weekend to talk about it. And the reports that are out is that, hey, look, apparently they had a relationship, but he denies that it was. He's saying, I believe that she is reportedly the aggressor. Married at the time. He's got children. I think he's on his third or fourth wife now. One of them, I believe he met at his place of work where he works. So this is the person who is being nominated to be defense secretary. And then you have Matt Gaetz, who has an investigation out now that will possibly come out. The House Speaker who was on that plane that you saw and also was at that fight is saying, hey, look, when asked by my former colleague, Jake Tapper, does morality even matter anymore with Republicans? Apparently not. What matters is political expediency to them and power. It does not matter, or unless he's somehow twisted this logic in his mind to say that it does matter, but yet it does not. Here it is.
You're a man of faith. You're a man of God. You're a man of family. With some of these nominees, Gaetz, Hegseth, RFK Jr., I wonder, does it matter anymore for Republicans to think of leaders as people who are moral in their personal lives? Is that still important to the Republican Party?
Sure. It's an important issue for anyone in leadership. This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is a demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people. So use the term in the opening about how these are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design. Any president has the right to name their own cabinet, to nominate persons that they think will fulfill their agenda. And the people that are on this list will do that. They will go into the agency.
So the thing is that only if they will do, yes, morality matters, but not really. But we just want people who are going to go into the agencies, be disruptors, and do what Donald Trump says. So morality does not matter. He said, yes, it does, but he didn't explain how it does. What he actually explained was how it does not matter. Let's take you to the UFC fight this weekend to show you again who is going to be leading the country. This is also over on the CNN, them discussing Donald Trump and et al. At the UFC.
He's flooded the zone with these picks and forced Republicans to choose. And I think it's interesting to me that he brought Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. to the UFC event last night. He is, frankly, giving, I think, supporter-based permission structure, and he's made these folks stars over the course of this campaign. I mean, in some ways, it's easy to view this, I think, through a different lens. Like, this is also just a person who won following through on campaign promises. He promised retribution, he promised vengeance, and he promised these kind of figures having prominent places in this administration, and he's delivering it. And for a lot of those supporters, that is the point of the Trump vote. And so I don't think that's the fullness of the electorate we saw on Tuesday. I think for a lot of people, they backed Trump probably as a rejection of the administration and weren't thinking of this as an endorsement of every single thing he's talked about. But for the hardcore base, the folks he listens to the most, they voted for Trump for the purposes of RFK Jr. riling the big pharma, right? And so what they are going to force those Republican senators to do is make a choice on those calls, and they will be doing so with the backing of the electorate. I don't think we could just say that they won't get through. I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, and it really looks like ancient Rome here. This is sort of the conquering Republican Caesar who's going into the Coliseum and everyone's cheering and he's got his political gladiators with him. That appearance isn't just about him enjoying the applause. He's sending a message to the Senate.
For sure.
Like, not only are you entertained, but these are my people, and are you willing to fight? Because here's who I have.
And are any of us surprised by this?
Go.
I feel
Okay.
like for anybody who.
Yeah, I love the young lady who said, is anyone surprised by this? No. Are you surprised by this? You're not. This is who America voted for. No, morality does not matter anymore. It doesn't matter. That's it. That's how Mike Johnson should have said. What we care about is winning. What we care about is pushing Donald Trump's agenda through. What we care about the issues that are important. And that's what you voted for. I'm not saying that it is, I'm not feeling a certain kind of way about it. I'm just telling you. And I don't mean for all you folks who are out there who are, maybe a bit concerned about it and maybe you voted for Kamala Harris and you're upset. I have said that it's going to be okay. But I got to be honest with you, the more that I hear, I'm not so sure that it's going to be that okay. Because even if the Senate does not like these picks, they're probably going to get through if they push it to the recess, and then he'll just do recess appointments, and then it's done. It's over. It's done, and it is over. So Senator Markwayne Mullin, who really was against the Matt Gaetz appointment, and who said that he was the least qualified and talked about what he, the kind of character he has, speaking of morals, or that he doesn't have. Well, at least when it appears as it comes to RFK Jr., as he has backtracked because he had previously said that he believed in the effectiveness, the efficacy of vaccines. And it appears now, like many folks, a lot of folks are walking back what they said in order to work with this incoming administration. Here he is.
Views on vaccines a deal breaker for you, Senator?
No, I absolutely appreciate Bobby Kennedy taking a hard look at the vaccines. There are some questions that had to be made, and I appreciate some of the scrutiny that's going through there. I think Bobby can answer all those. I've had multiple conversations with him. I've sat down and had long conversations with him, and I actually find the guy extremely intelligent when it comes to this stuff. And some of this stuff does raise a lot of questions. But I do got a question for you. The Democrats are spending so much time talking about the scrutiny of President Trump's picks, and yet did we spend this amount of time scrutinizing Biden's pick? I mean, we can talk about Rachel, the Assistant Secretary of HHS. I think that's a pretty controversial pick from whatever pronoun he or she decides to use. We talk about Sam, the Assistant Secretary or Executive underneath Secretary of Energy. And the individual was arrested multiple times for stealing luggage off of conveyor belts inside airports. And I didn't see the same type of scrutiny that the Democrats used on these individuals' picks. There's been a lot of picks. I mean, we can talk about Pete Buttigieg. Is he really qualified to be the Department of Transportation? But I don't see the same people giving the scrutiny here.
So there you go. Starting to back. You're comparing someone who is because of, what did I want to say? Because have had kids because of his beliefs and what he put out there. You have had kids who have had, I believe it was meningitis in Samoa. There was an outbreak there. And someone who really espouses wacky theories to Pete Buttigieg, who was a mayor, and then, really? That's what you're comparing it to? That's who you're comparing it to. No, I'm not sure. There's Monica Crowley, who is, I'm not sure if it was News Nation. I'm not sure, Andy, which program it was on. I think we had that soundbite of her, and she's saying every morning she wakes up and it's like Christmas. I get the News Nation and the other news thing confused. If you have that soundbite, Andy, I want you to run it if you have it.
Amazing to see the media circling the wagons to protect big pharma, big agriculture, and the agencies in our government that have so clearly been corrupted by them?
Look, Bobby Kennedy is an absolutely inspired choice for HHS, just like the rest of this cabinet. Every day, Rob, I wake up and it's like Christmas morning. Like, what kind of incredible pick are we going to get today to fundamentally transform America, but in a good way, not in the way that Obama meant when he used that phrase, but actually to restore power back to the people, making America healthy again, making America strong again, making America great again. Every single cabinet pick that he has announced so far is incredibly accomplished and strong on their own. As a team, this really is a dream team. We have not seen this kind of talent pool since the founding fathers.
Okay, you know what? What do you guys really, do you really believe that we haven't seen this since the founding fathers? I mean, perhaps, I think if you bring the founding fathers back now and they saw the actual like technology and the way of the world, maybe it would be like the founding fathers now, because I think the founding fathers, even in this world, like, you know, you go back a couple hundred years, right? You move forward, you go and you step into this world, all of a sudden you'd be like, well, what the hell is going on here? You kind of wouldn't know. So maybe they wouldn't be qualified in this particular environment, considering all of the advances that have been made since they have been alive. They might be a little bit, but I think their minds would be fine. But they just wouldn't, I don't know if they could keep up as it relates to what's happening. That's what, I don't believe that. What do you guys think about that? It is like Christmas every morning. And it's amazing. You know what this brings me to? This brings me to what Mark Leibovitz is saying about Americans, that we don't share the same reality anymore. And as I travel around the country, I realize that more and more and more. As I'm here in Miami, there are certain people who feel a certain kind of way. People are concerned because now Miami has gone from blue to red, or it was blue or purplish at least. And the folks are really concerned that in progressive districts now, it's becoming red. But I think it's because people are in their own bubbles and we live in our own world. It's not just two different, it's many different. Everybody's on an algorithm that feeds them exactly what they want to read or see and hear. Here's Mark Leibovitz.
Many theories out there on why Democrats have lost the working class vote, why they've lost Pennsylvania, why you know, people aren't watching or aren't reading the New York Times or the Atlantic out in the middle of this, and these nuanced arguments. And if only the Democrats had been more nuanced. I mean, I think the biggest single factor here is the information environment. I mean, there are massive swaths of America in actually pretty much every state, particularly the red parts of every state, who are not anywhere near these kinds of conversations, and who are, you know, mostly, you know, the internet, whatever it is, the information channels, you know, make it any kind of education about reality. I mean, again, there's not like an easy way to tie this up with a bow, but it's not. We're just not talking the same language.
But Elizabeth, yeah, I mean, you run the New York Times bureau in Washington. You're right at the center of this. How do you figure this out going forward so that people understand on both sides why the other side might think the way it does?
Well, we go out into the country. I mean, the national desk does. We're here in Washington, but we had a conversation this morning at the Times about shouldn't we go out and ask Trump supporters, people we actually interviewed for our polling, you know, who talked to us, about what they make of these selections.
All right, pause,
guess
please.
Is that
pause. Okay, so finally, now they're doing it. Remember, we did this before the election. We went to Illinois and talked to people. Not just Trump supporters, but everybody. Then we start, and it's from New York to Illinois. Finally, they're getting the idea that she has a national desk or whatever. I'm not criticizing her, but just these folks in general who are in this traditional media environment. We need to get out and talk to folks, the folks in the national desk. Okay, well, we did that. I believe independent journalists, and especially folks who are in this digital space, have been talking to people, have been doing man on the streets, have been asking how they feel. And had they been asking, they would have known. Every day I get someone who says, we should have listened to you. We did not realize that you had your finger on the pulse. When we were texting you and emailing you and contacting you saying, you're scaring us, you must be curating these people who are saying they're going to vote for Donald Trump. And I said no. And here we are. And now everyone is, doing their postmortems and trying to figure out, well, why didn't we know this? How do we get it wrong? Wait a minute. We thought Kamala Harris was going to win. Hold on to that thought about Kamala Harris winning, by the way, the vice president winning. I have some news on that. Okay, here we go. Continue.
Who talk to us about what they make of these selections. And our guess is that they're not paying very much attention to them at all. We're obsessed with them in Washington, and they're like, oh, that's fine. A military veteran, good for the Department of Defense. That's a good idea. Right. Or if they know it at all. That was if they're paying the slightest bit of attention to the cabinet.
Right.
I mean, so I think Donald Trump made people feel good. His supporters feel good. There was an emotional connection. He was a showman. I mean, we can go on and on and on about what he did. That is completely.
We ran a piece the other day by Mike Pesca that argued that people see the Democrats as the HR department of political parties. It's there to kind of make you feel vaguely bad about things, and there might be quite a bit to that.
I mean, he's defied all political conventional wisdom for 10 years now.
Okay, so here's the point. You know how the MAGA folks says facts don't care about your feelings, right? Remember, they're the party of facts, but apparently now it is the party of feelings. And I believe that woman there is exactly right. Most people don't know. They have no idea who the picks are. A military veteran, they have no idea about his philandering. They have no idea about the allegations against him or allegation. They have no idea about any of that. They just say, okay, he's on Fox News and he's a military vet. Okay, good enough. Matt Gaetz, he's been supporting the president and whatever. We don't know about those allegations. Who knows? Even if they even run it on Fox News or on, is it Newsmax, not NewsNation, Newsmax. Who knows? If they're even listening to it, if they hear it on Sean Hannity's radio show or on Fox News, who knows? And to say that Democrats are the HR political departments, that's actually not a bad analogy there. It's actually not a bad assessment. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch. Let me tell you that. Some more news. Remember Ann Selzer, who had gotten, if we can put Ann Selzer, who had the report on is it Iowa, and that they thought that Kamala Harris is going to win. Well, Ann Selzer is retiring from polling, and Donald Trump is attacking her because Donald Trump says it was a fake poll. So she is ending her polling. She's moving on to other ventures. And then Donald Trump attacked her over the weekend, saying a totally fake poll that caused great distrust and uncertainty at a very critical time. She knew exactly what she was doing. Thank you to the great people of Iowa for giving me such a record-breaking vote despite possible election fraud by Ann Selzer and now the now discredited newspaper for which she works. An investigation is fully called for. Okay, couple things there as we leave that up. A totally fake poll that caused great distrust and uncertainty at a very critical time. Now, I don't know if the poll was fake. I think I know it's not a fake poll. I think she's actually a good pollster. I think her metrics or however she measured, I'm not sure that was not accurate. She has a very good track record. Did she know exactly what she was doing? I don't think she was trying to put her finger on the scale for Kamala Harris because that's her stock and trade to get it right. If she got it wrong, she knew that would just be the end of her credibility and possibly the end of her polling career. And as we see it now, and also it would bring great scrutiny upon the newspaper for which she works. And that's exactly what happened. Now, an investigation is fully called for. This is what everyone needs to be concerned about, especially as it relates to corporate media that I always tell you guys about. You got the bosses who want to do business with the administration. And then you have the administration threatening them, saying, if you don't do what we want you to, if your people don't say or write something that's favorable to us, we're going to come down on you. And especially as it relates to broadcast media. You know how I know? Because Donald Trump does it. And he has said he's going to do it. And he says he's going to look at the licenses of all these places. And he is putting in place his own FCC head And this is what the concern is from one of my former colleagues, again, Brian Stelter over at CNN. Watch.
A household name like RFK, but it's an important pick for an important agency. Donald Trump has threatened the licenses of basically all the major television networks in the United States. Will he push his FCC chairman to follow through on those threats? Time will tell. I know Brendan Carr personally. I saw him earlier this year. He is an affable Republican who has been on the commission for years. He has been trying to show his loyalty to Trump recently. For example, the other day, he wrote a letter to the heads of all the big technology companies asking about his concerns about social media censorship.
There you go. His concerns about social media censorship, which would be moderation. So get ready for a clampdown on your media. Get ready to wonder if your media is actually telling you the truth. That's why your support for independent media is the critical and the most important right now, because we don't have those concerns or worries. The only concerns or worries that we have is that they're going to try to squish us and get advertisers not to advertise or not to sponsor us. That's pretty scary, isn't it? What is it when you look up the things that I told you about? Remember the thing that the chart that I showed you that was in the Holocaust Museum that was sold, control of media. That's one of the tenets of fascism. Control of the media, which is what Donald Trump is trying to do, and especially putting in place his FCC person who will probably be amenable to trying to squish the media and shape the narrative in ways that are favorable to Donald Trump. There's been a lot of really, as we say, Monday morning quarterbacking, or, folks like doing their assessment of what happened, their postmortems. What happened? What did Kamala Harris do wrong? What did the Democrats do wrong? Our friends over at the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, they have a few ideas about this and how they believe that the Biden administration did not serve, or at least that is the belief, did not serve the Vice President Kamala Harris well. And that was part of her not winning. I don't want to say downfall because she's still here, but part of her not winning. Watch this and tell me if you agree.
Doing anything to sort of say like, okay, at one point, right, Joe Biden's not going to live forever, 100%. And she's going to have to run. And like, what are we doing? What are we doing to make her see, to sort of like put her in a position to succeed?
Let me tell you a specific example on this point. There was, I was reporting the profile on the vice president last year, and I remember seeing some stat that said, the vice president's kind of people, a circle, showed me some stat that was like, when she delivers the Biden message in some focus groups, like people move, just trying to show her as an effective messenger. Very kind of baseline politics stuff. And I remember someone in the White House telling me, well, that's true for everybody because our message is a good one. And I say that to say, there wasn't a sense of like, oh, yes, she's on our team. This is a ticket. We selected her for that reason. She is an effective communicator of the message. It was like, Joe Biden is the president. He is doing a good job. And anyone who says that shows some, anyone who says that, it lands with public. And it was a demeaning of her specifically that I found as reflective of their own kind of self-belief, that they had cocooned themselves in this type of bubble where it could only be Joe. And that it itself, it was so disconnected from the public that I mean, that's why the reasons I go back to why they lost this race start 2 years ago. Yeah. Because I remember, telling them, on the podcast, we hear about age of Gaza, a ton, or whatever. And these Biden folks would, they would sit back from the table and they say, Donald Trump is on the other side and democracy's on the line. And you're talking about age? And I'm like, yeah, That's
Yes.
exactly why I'm
Right.
talking about it. It's because everyone else is. And so
Yeah.
that's the tone in which they were coming to this with. So much so that I think it impacted how the crisis that eventually brings them to her, it didn't have to be like that. And so that's so I think it's the big impact of like what I hope is the like lasting impact of the work that we did over the last couple of years is just that they made choices, and they made choices over the evidence and over people like me asking them. And I don't think they should get away with saying that no one saw it coming, or
Yeah.
no one saw the possibility of this result. A lot of people did.
Good. He's right. A lot of people did, and he's right about that. As much as you may love the current president, and he's a good guy, he is. Many of the folks around him, yes. Many of the Democrats, yes. Did they give her a fair chance to be elevated and to be put in a position early enough to have even more of a fighting chance of winning? No. Were they tone deaf about age and about all this? Yes, they were. But there is some truth to like, look at what we're up against and look at what you're focusing on. Sort of scolding of the media, but also that's true. But we live in a reality, and we see what has happened now. We see what has happened now. This is a position that you're in. I'm here in Miami, man, people are really concerned and really nervous, and especially mostly the folks who come up to me and talk to me about it are women. Women are really concerned and really worried. I can try to articulate it to you for obvious reasons, but I'm not a woman, so I cannot fully articulate it to you. But there is deep concern from women in this country. And when they say, well, there was a large, most women vote, there were many women who did vote, not all women. But just because you're a woman and you vote against your own interests does not mean that you cannot be, just because you're a woman, it does not mean that you cannot be co-opted into voting against your own interests. And that's the scary part. Before I leave you, because I need to catch a plane today, I want to show you, this is because I like to at least make you laugh. I think it's going to be okay. I keep saying, I think it's going to. Every time I get like another alert from someone else, and then you hear like, Donald Trump is threatening media companies and blah, blah, blah. I go, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure if it's going to be okay. Who knows? Who knows? I'm leaving you with something that's going to make you laugh. It's from the UK, a politician, but I think it rings true. It'll help you with your day. Here it is.
Minister, Donald Trump is president-elect once again. What are your thoughts on his emphatic win? Well, look, obviously, I congratulate Donald Trump on his victory, and I look forward to working with his administration over the next 4 years. You've got some bridges to build with him, though, haven't you, given that in January 2017 you said, Donald Trump is a neo-Nazi and a disgusting sexual predator. God help the United States. The Prime Minister and I have already had several meetings with President Trump in order to maintain a healthy relationship that benefits both countries, and I think that's what's important right now. When you met the President, did he mention this tweet you wrote back in March 2017 when you said, how can anyone spend time with Donald Trump and not come to the conclusion that he's an unscrupulous, egotistical, misogynistic fascist? God, I hate him. What I'm focused on is making sure that our strong working relationship with the United States continues under President Trump and his team. Even though you said this in July 2017, Donald Trump is contemptible, vile and odious, a tornado of corruption and depravity in a flappy blue suit. He makes me sick. Donald Trump is a man who speaks as he finds, but I think that it's important that we find some common ground in the national interest, and that's what myself and the Prime Minister are focused on doing in the coming months. So presumably you no longer think what you tweeted in December 2017 when you said, anyone who tries to forge working relationships with Trump is an unprincipled, morally bankrupt charlatan who should be treated with contempt and total disdain. I don't care who you are, if you want to work with that fascist monster, you're a piece of shit. The transatlantic relationship is one of the most important relationships that the UK has, and I don't think that bringing up tweets that I posted several years ago should have any bearing on what we're trying to achieve today. Even though you said in January 2018, oh God. Don't ever forget these things I'm saying about Donald Trump. Seriously, if you find me reeling off some spurious bullshit in years to come about looking forward to working with Donald Trump because he's been re-elected, God forbid, then take it as read that I've sold my soul for the sake of my political career and should be kicked in the face for the rest of my life by the people who voted for me. So much has changed in 8 years, and I think that it's incumbent upon us to extend the hand of friendship to President Trump for the sake of national and financial security. Okay, if that's the case, perhaps you should also change your profile photo. Oh, shit.
You know, it's the truth. And there's look, that is for someone in the UK, but it is a truth even for many politicians now who are here in the United States. And many folks who are now kissing up to him and saying, oh my God, he's the greatest thing. He walks on water. He's like Jesus, right? Even some of the folks who he is nominated to be in his own cabinet have been in the position as that man. Think about what Marco Rubio has said about Donald Trump, not only on social media, but to his face. Think about all the folks who have said very similar things to that. The truth is not very far from fiction when it comes to this administration, when it comes to the times that we're in now. So I try to give you a little bit, please try to smile for you folks who are still worried and concerned. And you have good need to be worried or concerned, but you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. So I'm going to see you later on. I don't think it's going to be exactly at 5 o'clock. Sorry, we are a bit in a transition after the election, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to move forward with the show. Not that we're going to keep going, obviously, of course, but how we want to, whether we want to bring you 2 live shows every day or a couple live shows a week, or however we want to do, because we always, it was just supposed to be 2 or 3 shows a week, maybe 3 shows a week, and then some interviews. And then we sort of transitioned because the election was happening and news was coming so fast. I wanted to be live, and also to help grow and build the LemoNation and give the Lemonhead something to talk about and discuss and information. So I'm going to see, I'll be on a plane. I'll try to get you at 5 o'clock. If not, we'll get you later on. Okay. So thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you hit the likes, and make sure you subscribe to the stuff. And we'll see you a little bit later on today. Okay. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern. So there's plenty of content for you to check out.